world.
I want to start with school and something the headmaster of your school said about you when you were just a teenager. What did he say?
I think he said I'll either go to prison or I'll become a multi-millionaire. and so he definitely saw something in me that was going to go one direction or another.
What was your first business?
Very first business was when I was about 9 years old, and I planted a whole lot of Christmas trees on some spare land that my parents had. And my thinking was that when I was 18 and I left school, those Christmas trees, instead of being that big, they would be 6, 7, 8 foot tall, and I would be able to, use the money to I don't know. I suspect go to Bali and live happily ever after. But as it turned out, the rabbits got in and ate them all, and so it wasn't very successful.
But you were not deterred, apparently.
I was not deterred. Age 15, I'm dyslexic, so I wasn't very good at conventional schoolwork. The Vietnamese War was taking place. Young people didn't have a voice. So I decided to start a magazine run by young people, for young people, called Students, that would campaign on issues that we felt strongly about. And I managed to work out of the telephone box at school, sell enough advertising to pay for the printing and the paper costs, and then using that money I left school and launched this magazine.
Yeah. The magazine then begets the record company, which was, what was the original idea?
Yeah, the magazine was successful. It had 100,000 people read it amongst colleges and universities, and being a teenager interested in music, somebody came along to the magazine with a tape. I loved the music. Didn't have a record company. Sent him to lots of other record companies. Nobody would sign him, and so decided to form a little record company around him. And his name was Mike Oldfield. His album was called Tubular Bells, and it did well. So that was the start of our record company.
What at that age was your sort of principal driving business acumen?
I honestly was not interested in being in business. I mean, I love creating things. My idea with the magazine was to try to change the world, and was try to, have young people, influence what was going on in the world. The idea of the music company was to be able to put out music that we liked. So I certainly wasn't interested in being a business person, but in order to pay the bills, I had to become an entrepreneur in order to, make sure that my magazine survived or my record company survived.
How many Virgin brands?
I think we have about 350 Virgin brands around the world, but the difference, I suppose, between Virgin and a giant corporation is that each of those companies are relatively small in their sector. They're hungry. They've got people running them who've got a stake in the company, we're global. We are a way of life brand.
Which one are you most proud of?
I think that I'm most proud of our airline, Virgin Atlantic. I mean, we started it with one plane, second-hand 747, and we were up against TWA, Pan Am, Eastern Caledonian, British Airways, and so on. Most of them have actually disappeared and gone bankrupt since. And we created, the best airline flying across the Atlantic. I mean, it was fun to travel on. The staff have been magnificent in the whole 21 years that it's been flying. It was very different from any other airline. And if you go back 21 years, all you got was a plate of cold chicken dumped in your lap. You had no entertainment, and it was a horrible experience. And so I think I think the Virgin Atlantic transformed air travel for people.
Do you know what you're worth?
I have an idea what I'm worth, but I've avoided ever saying it. I think that money is there to put to good use, and I would never put the money I've got into a personal bank account. I mean, every single penny that I generate will be spent on either creating new jobs, creating new companies around the world, or in investing in Virgin Unite, our charitable foundation, and trying to, right back to when I started with the magazine, actually trying now to be in a position where we can make a bit of a difference in the world.
Are you the luckiest son of a gun in the world?
I would say I am the luckiest person in the world. I mean, first of all, I've been picked out of the sea 6 times by helicopters, and that's why I think I sponsor London's ambulance helicopter service. And if those helicopters hadn't managed to pick me out, I wouldn't have been here telling this story.
These are on transatlantic, trying to cross in hot air balloons, and
yeah, these are trying to, maybe slightly foolishly in retrospect, but it was a wonderful adventure as a young man, trying to break records for either the fastest boat across the Atlantic, or you're trying to be the first person to fly a balloon across the Atlantic, and then the Pacific, and then trying to be the first to fly around the world in a balloon. And we had magnificent adventures, but quite often we were at the edge of the seat and sweating profusely as things went horribly wrong. And
you came very close to dying.
Yes, I mean, there were a number of occasions where I shouldn't have come back, but anyway, we managed to come back. And I came back once to a full-page advert by Virgin Atlantic saying, look, Richard, we have an airline, why don't you use it?